All right, Social Security. So Social Security um, program was actually established in 1935, um, and back then the average life expectancy was actually less than age 62, which is the earliest qualification date. So when they created Social Security, they didn't count on everybody making it like they do today, or most people making it like they do today. In fact, the odds were almost stacked against you that you probably weren't going to make it. And so CSRS employees weren't contributing into it because, again, they didn't adjust Social Security at that time to account for people living longer. And so there are four parts to Social Security. There's retirement, disability, health, and survivor benefits. So your first Social Security contributions, again, these are going to be FERS because CSRs did pay in. They contribute 6.2%, up to $139,700 in earnings. That's a 2020 number. That does adjust up. This slide's a little bit old, so it's a little bit higher than that now. But every year or so, they adjust that amount up just a little bit under current law. Again, that is one thing that you may have heard they're talking about changing because they're always trying to figure out how they're going to save Social Security from the mess it's in today, right? Now, this is in addition to Medicare payroll taxes, which is 1.45% or 2.35% of the total base pay. To qualify for benefits, you, as an employee, you must earn 40 credits. Now, you can earn 4 credits per year. So it only takes 10 years of essentially full-time work to qualify for Social Security benefits. Now, when they kind of figure out how much you're going to get for Social Security, they calculate your average indexed monthly earnings. You'll more commonly hear it referred to as AMI. And so that is essentially your highest 35 years of earnings that are indexed for inflation that count into the formula. And so what they do is, again, they take a look at your earnings history. They're going to they're going to adjust all the years up based on inflation rates to get everything in sort of a present value salary. And then they're going to take the highest 35 of those to calculate into your formula to get your AMI number. And your benefit is based on that, right? It's how they kind of calculate it. So it's important to know because for most people, if you started your working career, as a teenager and you maybe had a job at a grocery store or something like that, your earnings level was pretty low. And so every year you work as a federal employee making, pretty good money, it may be replacing one of those earlier years, or maybe even a year that you had early on that was a zero in there. So um, it can push that number up, but because you're dividing it by 35 years, it does take a little bit of time to do that. Um, and so your AMI has what they call bend points, and what that allows is the calculation of your PIA or your primary insurance amount to be determined. So those bend points, if you will, are you get 90% of your AMI number between $1 and $960. So again, they're going to calculate your AMI. The first $960 worth of it, you're going to get 90% that goes into it. Then from 961 to $5,785, you get 32% of that added to that number. And then if your AMI is over 5,785, you're going to get 15% of whatever's over that amount. So they add those three, they kind of calculate each of those three lines and they add them up. And that is your PIA, your primary insurance amount. And so the primary insurance amount is what is your full Social Security benefit. And so again, that's going to be for most people on here 67. For some of you, it may be 66 and 6 months or 8 months or 10 months, somewhere in that range. But it's based on what year you were born. But whatever your full Social Security retirement age, you're going to get 100% of that PIA we calculated from that previous slide. And so if you choose to take Social Security prior to that age, again, you can. especially if you're not working. So if you were to take it at say 62, it could be as low as 70% of what that PIA number is. If you're, and it's literally calculated to the month of, if you retire at 62 in 6 months, it is halfway between basically 62 and 63. So it's not your 62 benefit, but it's not your 63 benefit either. It's somewhere in between there, right? If you decide to keep working or to defer your Social Security past your full retirement age, they actually add 8% per year to your benefit for each year you delay taking it from that full age, let's use 67, for example, here, to age 70. So if you're 67 was your full retirement age and you decide to wait till 70 to turn Social Security on, your benefit will go up by 24%. Now, it is important to know that they do not credit you any additional money for waiting beyond 70. That is extremely important. If you are 70, you need to turn on your Social Security benefit, even if you're still working. There are several people that I have met that did not know that, and they have lost years of contributions. Social Security will not go back and pay you that money that they should have paid you. So be aware of that. One of the big questions that comes up with Social Security is when is the best time to take it? And I will tell you that that is different for everyone. Whether you're single or married plays into that. Family health history plays into that. Your current health plays into that. So it's a little bit of a gamble. If you wait to take it, you're banking on having a longer lifespan. If you are not healthy, have a poor family history health wise, you probably don't want to defer taking it any longer than you have to because when you pass away, generally speaking, the benefit stops. There are some survivor benefits to Social Security, but nobody's going to receive your benefit and their own. So the Social Security is going to keep money when somebody passes away. A great example of that is if you're married and you and your partner are both, or you and your spouse are both drawing Social Security, and one of you passes away, the survivor is going to get the higher of the two benefits for the rest of their life, but the lower of the two benefits will go away. Hopefully that makes more sense. So this slide here talks about your full retirement age. So again, if you're born 1960 or later, that's 67. If you were born 1937 or earlier, it's 65. Most of you are not going to be in that category, I would imagine. So it is somewhere in between. And again, I'm imagining most of you watching this are in that 66 and 4 month, 8 month range, somewhere in that, or 67, right? So these are Social Security retirement age alternatives. Again, we talked about if you take it early at 62, and again, taking it at 62, you generally don't want to make over $21,000 a year of earned income if you do that, but you're going to get less benefit, 30% less than your full retirement age benefit would have been. Again, depending on 65 to 67, your full age is full benefit, and delayed adds 8% per year up to age 70. This is a retirement benefits for your spouse. So Social Security, how does it spousal Social Security work? So a spouse can get the greater of 100% of their PIA or their full age Social Security benefit, or 50% of a living spouse's Social Security benefit. So generally where you see this is if one spouse worked and the other spouse was the homemaker, raised the kids, that kind of thing, but didn't have enough credits or a very low PIA, then sometimes they would, and the other spouse makes a pretty good chunk of change with a high PIA. Occasionally you'll find where 50% of that number is higher than the other spouse's lower PIA. And so you get that option. You can take 100% of yours as that spouse, or 50% of your living spouses. Spousal benefits can start as early as retirement age 62. And it's going to be the greater of 80% of your primary insurance amount, or 37.5% of your spouse's PIA. Divorced spouses also have access to their former spouse's uh, benefit, but it does not reduce your former spouse's benefit. So it's important to remember that. You have to have been married for 10 years or more, um, and not currently married. And then you would qualify to, again, take your Social Security benefit or 50% of your former spouse's full benefit. But I do want to reiterate that your former spouse uh, will still get their benefit in full. It does not reduce their benefit, and they won't even know that you're getting the benefit. So those are common concerns that I hear from uh, divorced spouses considering taking their benefit off of their spouse's formula. So spouse with child and child Social Security benefits. So a spouse caring for a child is 50% of the worker spouse's PIA at any age if caring for a child under 16 years of age. The eligible child benefit is 50% of the worker's PIA. Eligible children need to be unmarried, under 19 years of age if they're in high school, or younger than 22 if disabled. This is that Social Security earnings limitation. So you'll see here for 2023, the amount they allow you to get is $21,240. That is the same 21,000 I referenced earlier, just the exact number for 23. 24 is a slight bit higher than that, but again, not much. And so that's kind of that earnings limit. As long as you stay under that amount, it's not going to reduce your benefit. But if you're over that amount and drawing Social Security and not full Social Security age, you will lose $1 for every $2 you earn over that $21,240. Hopefully that makes sense. It is a little bit complex. I definitely understand that. Social Security benefit taxes. So this is a even more complex formula to determine whether your Social Security benefits are going to be taxable or not. All taxpayers are going to get at least 15% of their Social Security benefit is not going to be taxed. So that's the minimum. However, the other portion is going to depend on whether you're single or married. You'll see there are kind of limits for single, it's 24,000, married, it's 36,000. What they do is they calculate half of your Social Security benefit plus any non-taxable interest plus your adjusted gross income, and they add those all up. And if it's over that 24,000 if you're single or 36,000 if you're married, then your Social Security is going to be taxed. And how much over is going to dictate whether it's 50% taxed or up to 85% taxed. There's a range in there depending on that earning amount. So again, if you're most federal employees, your Social Security is going to be taxed because generally speaking, when you count half of your Social Security benefit plus your pension plus potentially a FERS supplement, it's going to be over that amount. The Windfall Elimination Provision only applies to CSRS retirees. So this is again someone who maybe worked a handful of years where they maybe early in their childhood, teen years or whatever, and they were able to get the minimum Social Security credits in before they maybe became a CSRS employee, or maybe they had a side job that they were contributing. And so what they do is they calculate um, a kind of a reduced offset amount based on your PIA and how many years you contributed. So if you contributed to Social Security for 30 years or more, you do not get a reduction. Very rare that we see that, but it is available. And then if you're under that 30 years of contributing, then there is a kind of an offset formula, as you'll see here. The government pension offset um, is again the same kind of concept, and they reduce your Social Security, your CSRS benefit by Social Security as well. So generally speaking, again, if you're CSRS, you're probably not going to get Social Security unless you had a second job with substantial years contributing to Social Security. Social Security, all we want to touch on here is that your benefit, Social Security system is financially in trouble, has been for a long time, but it's not going to go away. So if they don't fix it by 2034, they'll only have enough money in the system to basically pay out about 76% of promised benefits for all working employees. So it is not full, but it's not completely going away. There is uh, a whole task team basically that's been trying to figure out how to solve the Social Security funding issue. There are several different proposals at place. Some of them include increasing um, taxes on Social Security. Some include changing the early age date from 62 to 65 and the full date from 67 to 70. Um, there's other, formula variations as well. A lot of this is going to be determined by who's in office when they decide to tackle this gorilla of a problem. So next thing we're going to touch on here is FEHB and Medicare.